Sawadee Krap and welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod, Mindful Media and Communication. And today, it's going to get deep. We're going to talk about emotions. So get ready to cry, to laugh, to hate, to yell, to be shocked. I don't know what other emotions you might feel. But we talk about emotions today. And I believe we all know that awkward pain of a text message gone wrong. Right? Or a joke that flopped over text. I'm being so funny. You send it and then it's like silence and you see the ... someone's writing and it's like, dude, you just need to reply with a laughing emoji. It's like, no, nothing's coming. Like, oh shit. Did he, she, they not understand my joke? No. Yeah, I think we all know that feeling, right? So communicating feelings through screens can be pretty messy, difficult. Yeah, but with some emotional intelligence, we can learn like the nuances of digital emotion. Yeah, and that's what we're going to try today. So time to level up your online empathy, so to speak. And as you know, in this podcast, I always try to add a few media theories to the topic to make sure we understand why things happening the way they are. And one of the first theories we discussed also in the last episode of the podcast, if you didn't listen, check back in, is the media richness theory. And this explains how different media channels have varying different forms, different kinds of abilities to convey information. Okay, so face-to-face conversations, they often feel richer, right? So for those who listen and don't watch the video, I did air quotes, and I hate those usually, but in this case it feels appropriate, like richer in air quotes, right? So face-to-face conversations feel richer than just text or emails because you see something, you see facial expressions and so on, right? But what happens if we have to express our emotions via messages or via emojis because we don't see each other? Yeah, this is a challenge that everybody faces, I believe. And let me give you an example that I experience all the time, right? I like to work with sarcasm, as you might have realized when you listen to my podcast, or if you know me in person. So humor, like sarcasm, rarely lands cleanly via text alone, right? If you say something sarcastic on a text, without vocal cues of irony, recipients might question the intent of your message. They might think the WTF in the head, right? This LOL, the lol, feels very dull compared to hearing real laughter or the real smirk on a face or something, right? So you have to adapt your tone for the medium when you're trying to convey a message. But how do we do this is the question. More on this in a second, okay? Another theory that I think fits well is the emotional, it's a new one, so I slow it down, emotional contagion theory. Okay? So if you ever wondered how emotion spread online, right? That's the emotional contagion theory. That theory tries to explain this phenomenon, from viral tweets to Facebook posts. Emotions, they spread very fast, rapidly online, it's very fast. But they can, of course, also become pretty distorted or maybe even exaggerated in the process, right? So for example, the collective outrage that we see on Twitter, X, that arises partially from emotional contagion, right? If someone tweets something we have to cancel them. That's emotional contagion, okay? So shared experiences, if you share this with your peers, they catalyze that viral spread when they resonate, right? When those experiences resonate, then this viral spread will be exaggerated, will be faster. Okay, so this helps to explain the theory why some emotions explode, while others more fizzle out and don't catch on. Okay. Now we ask ourselves, okay, cool, understand, but how do I express my digital emotions, for real online, right? So what are the strategies for digital emotional expression? We should make that a thing. Digital emotional expression, D. Digital emotional expression, that's our thing now, okay, that we have together. So, conveying emotions accurately is obviously difficult. So it requires lots of finesse, in my opinion. Okay, you have to think about it. A few tips that I would suggest to take into consideration are A, choosing your words very carefully. Okay, makes sense. You do that anyway. So and maybe embrace like a more descriptive language, like describe things a little more, especially if you're not chatting with your bestie who might not understand the context of the time that you're trying to communicate within. Then maybe being more descriptive can help to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, visual cues could also help, obviously. Emojis in this case, right? Might sound silly, but of course emojis can still help to make sure we understand what we want. And even if in a professional setting, yes, you shouldn't send emojis back and forth. But maybe and I know maybe it's just me being old, but I find those old school emojis to be a little more professional or maybe less silly than the actual sticker emojis. That might be just me. If you're using messaging apps with like stickers and so on, use the stickers. So just make sure that your emotions are clear. And consider your audience's context and to communicate effectively. What does it mean? It's like a concept that we have and that we talk about with our students. And if you're a student listening, you should remember this from your introduction to communication course in your first year. You always have to think about the context of the audience, not your own context. So don't think about like, hey, the audience has the same setting, the same thoughts, the same feelings that I have, because they don't, right? Think about the setting that they are in. So they might not know your context, they might not know your surroundings. So make sure that they understand it without being in the same situation that you're in. It means if it's something very accurate or like acute that happens right now, explain the situation to them, right? Descriptive, what we said in the first point, descriptive language helps here, okay? And when we're talking online, right, then we can also talk about a point that we call hyperpersonal communication, okay? So hyperpersonal communication means that online interactions, they sometimes feel more intimate than in-person conversations, right? And that's a concept that's explained by the hyperpersonal communication model. Well, I'm learning something here, hyperpersonal communication model. Because sometimes we're projecting deeper meaning onto those digital exchanges than on real face-to-face communication. Why? Because sometimes it's easier to open up just via text, right? It's like I can just be myself online, for example. I don't have to put on my brave face or something. So sometimes we open up more in a digital way because it's easier for us. But the problem here is, of course, that this can still lead to misunderstandings. Because even though if I open up, the other person, we still aren't the closest buddies, right? We don't see each other every day, for example. So there can still be misunderstandings happening, of course. Yeah, I think it's also a big problem if you like, for example, you're talking a lot online, and maybe you have like some good online friends, but they still don't know the exact context that you're living in, right? Your living situations and so on. So it can still lead to misunderstandings there. So I'm just saying, be careful. I'm not saying don't do it, because of course it's great to have friends online. Just be careful, be aware of like those differences that we all have, okay? And I think it also helps to try to decode those digital emotional cues, because just like in real life, there are emotional cues in digital life too. And I'm not saying digital life is not real, because of course digital life is also real life. Okay, so when you try to interpret others' emotions online, avoid assumptions, just what you do in real life. Just don't assume too much, okay? And if you're not sure, always seek clarity. Yeah, if confused, don't jump to a conclusion. If you're not sure, ask. It's always good to ask, right? So yeah, pay attention to like patterns in like friends' digital communication styles, and then you will, just like in face-to-face communication, you will understand, oh, that's how they feel today. Yeah, familiarity, just like in offline life, builds digital emotional fluency. The more you know each other, the more you understand how you tick. I think another thing that I found interesting in this regard is the meme culture, right? The meme and like comment sharing culture and so on. Like memes, you see how excited I am about memes. If you're one of my students, you know that I use memes a lot. So yeah, so memes, they distill, that's what I want to say, share emotional experience, okay? And they distill it into like those viral inside jokes, right? The memes are not always understood by everyone. Sometimes it's like a very inside baseball joke. Yeah, the more a meme elicits like collective catharsis, I want to say, the wider it spreads, right? Like even like, and you, again, if you know me, then you know why I use this example. Even weird cat photos, they evoke our desire for community sometimes, right? Another thing, however, that influences that as well is also platform design. That's something that we might also forget sometimes. We might actually not be aware of. Platform design impacts interactions, okay? For example, the YouTube comment section like tends to like escalate negativity, as you might have seen, and hostility through anonymity, right? Because it's easy to comment anonymously on YouTube still. So you can be do you see like all those negative comments on YouTube all the time? Yeah, so that's why I also talked about this in previous episodes. We all should work together consciously on cultivating like a healthy digital space. Because otherwise we can all just spiral down this hateful, this hate spiral of hate. Okay, so almost there. I have one more thing that I noted down that I want to talk about in this regard is the theory of social presence. Okay, so we often talk about in communication like about feeling like connected online, like, oh, he just gets me, she gets me, they get me, like you have this connection online. But what does it actually mean? Is the question. Yeah, the social presence theory examines the perceived intimacy or the intimacy potential of different media from the, like, can I say warmth? The warmth of a video call to the like distance of like text-based interactions. So the social presence theory suggests that different forms of media, they have different attributes to them. Right? A video call, of course, is more personal than just a text message. Even so, you could have the similar outcome, right? You can call someone and say, hey, can you do this for me? Or text, hey, can you do this for me? It has different feeling. Again, if you're one of my media students, second year, you learned about Marshall McLuhan, first year actually, Marshall McLuhan, who said the medium is the message. And that exactly applies here. Different media, even though you send the same message in these different media forms, will be understood differently. Again, the face-to-face call, more intimate. Could be more of a happy situation, could be also more serious if your boss calls you. But if your boss sends you an email, you're like, yeah, okay, boss, I'll do it later. If your boss calls you, like, oh yeah, I'll do it right away. Other way around with your friends. Your friends call you, you're like, hey, cool, yeah, nice to see you. If your friends text you, like, why don't you just text me? Right? So the medium is the message. That's awesome how I weaved all this into this podcast here. So a few more tips before we wrap up, like how to improve your digital emotional intelligence. We call it DE, right? Digital emotional intelligence. So verify interpretations before escalating misunderstandings. So make sure you understood correctly before you're actually getting mad. Okay, that's important. Be mindful of like how platform design actually impacts discussions. Like if you're getting mad from YouTube comments, be aware many of those are trolls. It's anonymous. People are just using it to, excuse my French, take the piss. Okay, so don't get mad at those. Yeah, use visual cues judiciously to enhance meaning. So make sure you actually communicate the meaning via visual cues and not only text. Okay? And I'm German. I know the problem very well because I think Germans, we are said to be very serious. I think when it comes to texting, we also are very serious. So not many emojis there usually in German messages. So we should do better at too, I think. And again, if you're not sure of the intent, ask for clarification. It's so easy to just ask, hey, what do you mean by that? Did I get you right? I'm not quite sure. It's so easy to do. We just don't do it because, I don't know, saving face or not wanting to, I don't know what's the problem. So ask questions. It's always good to ask questions. Okay, so let's remember that emotional intelligence only requires like real practice. That's all it needs, right? Ongoing practice. Because then the digital literacy, we had an episode on this too, our digital literacy will evolve across those new platforms that we use to communicate on. And the reward of like practicing this emotional intelligence is a deeper connection between all of us. Isn't that awesome? Yes, it is. So if you do this, and stay with me while I wrap up in a very cheesy manner. If you do this, then our humanity will persist, even though we're only on like those digital mediums, because empathy will lead us to understanding. We just need to let it happen. Okay. All right. So that's it for me from this episode in regards to digital emotional intelligence. I'm just realizing the digital emotional intelligence. Oh no, we said digital emotional expression. That's why D. I was like, why is it D? It's intelligence is an I. No, we talked about digital and I wrote it down. Digital emotional expression. That's the D. That's what we're doing. So I hope this episode on digital emotional expression / intelligence helped you a little bit. If it did, like, share, subscribe. Leave a review in the podcast app of your choice. That would be awesome. And let me know how that goes for you. Do you think it's easy to communicate online? Do you run into miscommunication quite frequently? What are your thoughts on this? As always, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're coming back for the next time. Stay safe. Take care. We talk soon. Sawadee Krap.